What happened to two princes who went into a locked tower and were never seen again? How could a plague make hundreds of people literally dance themselves to death? You might think the medieval period was all knights and castles, but it was also packed with insane mysteries that no one can solve. In this video, we are counting down 5 real-life events from the Middle Ages with no explanation. These aren't just scary stories. These are documented historical events that are so crazy, we may never have the answers. Coming in at number 5 is the insane, baffling end of an entire European colony. For almost 500 years, a huge community of Norsemen, actual Vikings, lived on the icy shores of Greenland. They built farms, had livestock, put up giant stone churches, and had 2 massive settlements. They were a real, functioning part of the Norse world. And then, one day, they just weren't. When a missionary showed up in Greenland in 1721, he expected to find thousands of their descendants. Instead, all he found were the local Inuit. The Norse people themselves? Gone. The farms were abandoned, the churches were empty, and the last thing anyone ever wrote down was about a wedding back in 1408. After that, complete silence. So what happened to the thousands of Norse people who lived there? No one knows for sure, and all the theories are insane. The most popular one is climate change. The Norse arrived when it was warm, but then the Little Ice Age hit, a massive chill that would have destroyed their farms. All the new sea ice could have blocked their trade routes to Europe, which they needed to survive. But it's not that simple. Skeletons show they switched from eating farm animals to seals. They were obviously trying to adapt. So what else could it be? Maybe they fought with the local Thule people. Or maybe it was an economic disaster. Their main export, walrus ivory, became worthless when cheaper elephant ivory took over the market. Other research says a massive drought meant they couldn't grow food for their animals during the insane winters. The truth is, they didn't just vanish. They left behind ruins and bones that tell a story of a slow, brutal decline. It was probably a perfect storm of climate disaster, economic collapse, and total isolation that finally crushed the colony until its last members either died or sailed away forever. Our next mystery is the biggest treasure hunt in history, involving warrior monks and a legendary treasure that just disappeared. The Knights Templar were one of the most powerful groups in the Middle Ages. They started out protecting pilgrims, but they blew up into a military and financial giant. They were basically the world's first multinational corporation, and they were unbelievably rich. It all came crashing down on Friday, October 13, 1307. King Philip IV of France owed the Templars a ton of money and was jealous of their power. He ordered every Templar in France arrested on fake charges because he planned to seize all their wealth to pay off his debts. But when his men busted into the Templar headquarters in Paris, the legendary treasure just wasn't there. The king got their land, but the insane hoard of gold and relics had vanished. So, where did it go? This question has started 700 years of crazy speculation and treasure hunts. And this is where it gets wild. One myth says the Templars got a tip and smuggled the treasure to the port of La Rochelle, where their entire fleet set sail and disappeared. Some stories say they sailed to Scotland and hid it all in Rosslyn Chapel. Another theory is the treasure wasn't even gold. Maybe it was something way more powerful, like the Holy Grail. And then there's the craziest legend of all, that the Templar fleet sailed across the Atlantic to North America and buried it all on Oak Island in Nova Scotia, where a mysterious money pit has stumped treasure hunters for centuries. These are all incredible stories, but there's no real proof for any of them. Archaeologists have found amazing Templar tunnels in Israel, but no treasure. The fate of their legendary wealth is one of the most insane mysteries of all time. At number 3, we have a puzzle that has defeated the world's smartest people for over a century, a book that nobody on Earth can read. The Voynich Manuscript is a 240-page book from the 15th century. It's filled with a strange, beautiful script in a totally unknown alphabet, next to some of the weirdest drawings you've ever seen. We're talking about fantasy plants that don't exist, crazy astrological charts, and pictures of people bathing in green liquid. For centuries, this book has been the ultimate challenge for codebreakers. The best cryptographers of the 20th century, even the guys who broke enemy codes in World War II, tried and failed to understand it. What makes it so impossible? The text looks real. It has patterns like a real language, but it doesn't match any known language or code. The theories about it are as crazy as the book itself. Is it a lost language? An unbreakable code with secret knowledge? Or is it just the most brilliant and expensive prank in history? Some thought it was a simple code, but computers have completely debunked that. Recent analysis shows that if it is a code, it's unbelievably complex. A journalist in 2026 even made a new theoretical cipher just to show it could, in theory, be a message. Other people think it was an attempt to create a new language, like Elvish from Lord of the Rings, but hundreds of years earlier. And some believe it's just meaningless nonsense, a giant fraud to trick some rich guy. But the book is so detailed and consistent, that seems impossible. Even with AI today, the Voynich Manuscript is still a total mystery. We still don't know if it contains ancient secrets, or if it's the punchline to a 600-year-old joke. We are more than halfway through, and the mysteries are getting even crazier. If you're enjoying this video, and trust me, you are, smash that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss what's coming next. At the number 2 spot, we have something so weird, it sounds completely made up. Imagine you see your neighbor dancing. Not for fun, but uncontrollably, without stopping, for days until they collapse. Now imagine that happening to hundreds of people. That was real life in the city of Strasbourg in the summer of 1518. It all started in July with one woman, Frau Trophea. She walked into the street and just started dancing. No music. She just danced and danced for days. Within a week, dozens of people had joined her. By August, the dancing plague had taken over as many as 400 people. The city officials had no idea what to do. Doctors at the time said it was hot blood. And their solution? More dancing. I am not even joking. They built stages and hired musicians, thinking people could dance the fever out. This was a terrible idea. People danced until they were completely exhausted, and historical records say some literally died. The insanity finally stopped in September, as mysteriously as it began. So what on earth could cause this? An old theory is ergot poisoning, a toxic fungus on rye bread that causes spasms and hallucinations. But most experts now say that's not it, because ergot has other symptoms people didn't report, and it probably wouldn't let you dance for days straight. The most accepted explanation today is a mass psychogenic illness, basically mass hysteria. The people of Strasbourg were living under insane stress from famine, disease, and poverty. Historian John Waller argues that with all that anxiety, a local superstition about a saint who could inflict a dancing curse might have triggered a massive psychological breakdown. It was a crazy physical reaction to unbelievable mental suffering. But even this is just a theory. The records confirm it happened, but they can't tell us why, making the dancing plague one of the strangest events in human history. And now, for our number 1 medieval mystery. A cold case that has obsessed the British monarchy for over 500 years. The disappearance of the princes in the Tower. In 1483, England was shocked when King Edward IV died suddenly. His 12-year-old son, Edward V, was supposed to be the new king. He and his 9-year-old brother Richard were put in the care of their uncle, Richard, Duke of Gloucester, who was supposed to protect them. The young king was taken to the Tower of London to get ready for his coronation. But that coronation never happened. Instead, his uncle Richard announced that his brother's marriage was illegitimate, which meant the two boys weren't really princes. He then seized the throne for himself, becoming King Richard III. Young Edward and his brother were seen playing in the Tower Gardens for a bit, and then, they were never seen again. They just vanished, creating England's most famous royal mystery. The classic theory, made famous by Shakespeare, is that Richard III had his nephews murdered to keep the throne. Most professional historians today still think murder is what happened, and Richard III is the main suspect. After all, 2 small skeletons were found under a staircase in the Tower in 1674 and buried in Westminster Abbey, believed to be the lost princes. But Richard isn't the only suspect. Some historians point to the Duke of Buckingham, who was Richard's right-hand man before he rebelled. Others say it could have been Henry Tudor, who eventually beat Richard and became King Henry VII. The boys were a threat to his claim to the throne, too. And then there's an even crazier, more controversial theory from historian Philippa Langley, the same person who found Richard III's lost body. She says there's evidence in European archives that the princes might have actually survived and escaped. She thinks the young men who later showed up claiming to be the princes might have been telling the truth. While this is an amazing idea, most historians don't buy it because there's no solid proof. In the end, there's no confession, no identified bodies, and no real proof. Just a 500-year-old mystery and the insane question: what really happened to the boys in the tower? From a lost colony to a book no one can read, the medieval period is full of secrets. These mysteries are so amazing because the clues we have are scattered and confusing. They're a huge reminder that history isn't just a bunch of facts, but a series of stories. And the best stories are the ones with no ending. What do you think happened to the princes in the tower? Let us know your craziest theories in the comments below. I'm reading all of them. And if you want to keep exploring the most insane mysteries of the past, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next mystery.